Hello. There's one button I forgot to press. What's up, everybody? It's the Dennis and Andy Show, an hour early. Why? Because my daughter has to be picked up at 3:30, and our special guest has other commitments as well. So it all worked out fine. No problem rolling an hour early. You guys will get your gray beards in. Randy Howell in the house. Marcus Kellergrew says shared. Thank you very much.
They're popping links, and at least one of us realized we were coming in early and to remember to wear the proper clothes for Wednesday.
What?
That's
Kor-Drath.
Oh, yeah.
Kor-Drath.
Mr. Remember this, guys. I take shit all the time if I wear like a cool Green Bay Packer shirt or something.
Well, the problem
or an
is
X-Men shirt.
you just put the word cool in front of Green Bay Packer.
Right.
Which they don't go together.
No, which is like appropriate.
Dude, it's like rice pudding. Those two words should never go together. Bread pudding, never put those words together.
Cool, Dallas Cowboys.
Cool,
correct. Exactly. They should
never put them together, Dennis. Two men, never put them together, Dennis.
Yep.
Two ladies, though. What? Anyhow, Dan Genovese. All right, guys, we're going to jump right in. We've got a cool guest on the show today. It is this guy. Oh, wait a second. That's not him. That's a drawing of a character from the book that he's doing right now. And it's Cecil.
That drawing was based on me. Hello.
It was based on you
4 years ago.
Yeah. You've lost, you've trimmed down some. It's just not fun. But, I had to, unlike every other artist, and when I read the book, I'm like, oh, a gut like that hangs below the sweatshirt. Come on.
Yeah, I'll get back to this again. Don't worry. This is just a phase I'm going through. I'll get back there. He's still in there trying to get out.
That's right.
He still has the Dunlap disease, which we have to respect.
That's right. that fat little boy in you just wants to get out.
Whoa! It's not fat. Back then we called him Husky. He was a husky child, just like me.
Where's the husky section?
Exactly. Time to get jeans for school. We're going to the Huskies.
Oh, I never had that problem. It was time to get clothes for school. Take him to the little boys section.
No, I didn't.
He's 10, but he can still wear 5.
Well, they used to take you to the girls section, but they were never on sale, so they had to take you over to the Dallas Cowboy clearance section
just
where you
because,
can get your free clothes.
Just because the balls didn't drop till I turned 7, and my parents knew for a fact I was a boy.
17?
Whatever. A 1 in front of it or not, it doesn't matter.
I didn't get husky until my 30s. Then I blew past husky pretty quick and went into morbidly obese.
Because I've known you online before you started really working out and stuff, but I only met you in person. We did in June this past year, and you're in shape. What was the heaviest you were at?
Probably about 270.
Get out of here. Were you really? Yeah, dude, for your height.
I'm in the 180s now.
Yeah, I was gonna say 270 for your height is that's an achievement.
Fucking enormous, man.
What? Okay, so I guess what were you before that? Like before you ballooned up? I mean, it takes time.
No, I was spent years as like a gym rat. I used to run 8 to 10 miles a day. I mean, when I quit, when I went off the rails, I went off the fucking rails, man. Like
what?
Yeah. And I had a nice, 10-year stint as like a meatball, and then I clawed my way back over the last 4.
But you got to admit it's a catch-22 because it's great to be in shape and eat healthy and all that. But man, for those years where you just don't give a fuck and you're just like, I want a dozen donuts today.
I look back fondly to pulling out a half gallon of ice cream, throwing on a horror movie, fucking hitting rock bottom on that container.
Okay, so horror movies.
I'm tearing up.
Dude, I was about to say it, and you're on your couch, the lights are off, so nobody can see you cry, even though you're alone, so nobody can see you cry regardless.
There's such a rock star quality of eating like that. I don't give a fuck. It's almost like downing a bottle of Jack Daniels. You just don't care that much. It's which I was also doing at the same time. It was next to the ice cream. But
wow.
Yeah,
so horror movies. You like horror movies? What's the best?
I'm watching. I do my favorite of all time horror movie wise is Return of the Living Dead.
Okay.
directed by Dan O'Bannon, who wrote Alien 1979. It's my favorite one. It's fun. It's super dark. It's the darkest ending wrapped in a kind of comedy, but with really good practical effects. And
Yeah.
the cast was they had lightning in a bottle with the cast. Everybody was perfectly cast and fun cast. It's just a movie I could watch over and over. It was a movie that spoke to teenage Cecil in a very special way when Trash ripped off her bottoms and started dancing on the tomb. So that was a very important. There was a lot of pausing and rewinding on that going on. But it's just one of my favorite, most watchable, fun, smart movies. It's a smart movie wrapped in kind of a dumb wrapping paper, but it's fun.
See, the movie that had me pausing and rewinding when I was a young teenager was Fast Times at Ridgemont High, when Phoebe Cates was going swimming and Judge Reinhold was in the bathroom tugging it.
That's also another movie that was kind of written off as a dumb teen comedy, but it was actually kind of a well done, smart movie wrapped and packaged as a dumb sex comedy, which it was. Was. Yeah. So
dumb sex comedies was like Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds and all that stuff. Those were the dumb ones.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds.
No, I'm not saying they. No.
I'm going to fight you on that one. That one's got.
No. I'm not saying they weren't good. I enjoyed it.
Nerds.
No.
Nerds.
I liked the movies. I'm just saying they weren't like deep or anything. I love those movies.
No, I have to ask you whenever people bring up horror movies, because there's your true horror movies, then there's your thriller type horror movies, then you've got your slasher type, they're all different. And it's so funny because a lot of people, when they say horror, they really only like one. I enjoy the entire genre from one end to the other, but that's why I was kind of curious.
Well, I would say a close second for a horror movie is a movie that a lot of people fight me on, whether it's a horror movie. I consider it a horror movie because people will say all the time, oh, I was the most scared at this movie. And then I'm like, it's a horror movie. And like, no, it's not a horror movie. I'm like, you can't have it that way. But it's Silence of the Lambs. Now, a lot of people will not put that in the horror category because it's so well done, high production, high acted, that they won't put it there. But they'll also be like, I was scared out of my fucking mind during that. See, it's a horror. It's a horror movie.
Dude, that's where I got to be honest. That's difficult for me because I saw it when it came out. So I was, early 20s, I think, when it came out. And I wasn't scared at all. I don't know. I always kind of looked at it as a thriller.
Right. Her walking around that basement with the lights
out. I do too. Matter of fact, you make a good argument.
I mean, look, when he tucked it and said he'd fuck himself, that scared me.
Okay. Yeah.
The notion
I thought you were going to say that was one of your hit pause and rewind moments.
Well, that's after it came out and I got it at home. I couldn't do that during the movie. I mean, I tried doing a Pee Wee Herman during that scene in the movie, but the older couple next to me didn't want any of that.
Now he bought it in 4K, so he really gets that nice, crisp picture.
You don't lie to me, and no man that saw that movie didn't go home and go,
I've done the
the
naked lady dance.
Every man, after they saw that movie, you did it. Just to see and be horrified and go, God damn, I would be an ugly woman.
Yeah, and put on, and who among us has not done it while putting on lipstick? And who, I ask,
exactly.
You're ready to cast the first stone if you were not wearing high heels while doing this.
All right, so here's one that I always get in. Is Alien, now Aliens is not. Is Alien a horror movie?
Yes.
Alien is. Alien
I agree.
I would say action, sci-fi, horror, with horror being dead last.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was the thing. Like when Aliens came out, I hadn't seen Alien at that point because Alien came out, late 70s. So I wouldn't have been allowed to see it. So I never even thought about it. So when Aliens actually came out, I saw it and I'm like, oh, it's really good. And then people are like, oh, you see Alien. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, it's a horror movie. And I'm like, this wasn't. And they're like, no, 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 no. And I was kind of like, oh, do I want to see that? But I did. And yeah, it was awesome.
It was. Well, we just did our movie review for Saw X or 10 for those of you. So, you know, it was I wound up having to catch up on the Saw movies there in order to see it. And, you know, it's all I can say is, yeah, that was damn worth it. That was good.
Do you like those?
I mean, I bounce around them. I've never watched them in order, but I've stopped and jumped in, and I feel like I could catch up pretty quick. He's kidnapping people.
Well, no, because so here's the thing. The one thing I've said this to so many people that are like, oh, they're just trashy slasher flicks. I'm like, they're not.
No,
because Saw came out in 2004, so 20 years ago. Saw 9, which was the last one that was starring Chris Rock, tied in. Like, they did such a good job of tying these movies together and kind of advancing the story, but then like going, oh, what if this happened back then? And just working everything in to give the illusion that you're like, did they really plan this out 20 years ago? And they didn't, but they do such a good job of doing that.
So like going back to the first one, there's like this letter and you're like, okay, I don't know what it is. Oh, and Saw 4, that letter said this. Holy shit, that goes back to the beginning. Oh, that happened. And then you see a flashback. You're like, oh my God. Every movie, with the exception of 9, ties everything directly into one another. All the cast of characters, how they interact with one another. And then Saw 10 really is Saw 1.5, 1.5, because it takes place between the two, almost like a prequel. And it fills in all of this. And I'm like, wow, that is actually really good retro writing.
Now I feel like I have to watch the whole series in order. But I wanted to throw one in because I'm doing my I do my list on Halloween. I do my I see Graham does it. A bunch of people do. So I've had so far Frankenstein. I always start with Frankenstein. I did Bride the second day. I did American Werewolf in London yesterday.
That's a good one.
And today I was going to do another one that might not be considered a horror, but I throw it in there, is Jaws.
Oh, Jaws is a horror movie.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm watching Jaws later.
That was the first horror. That was the first. My parents took me to that 77, right? When that came out?
75.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
75?
I think so.
So whatever it was, I was born in 69. My parents took me to that.
I got doxxed, so I could now say my age. I saw that in the theater too, and I was 71. So I was little. I was afraid of swimming pools. I was afraid of bathtubs. I was fucking. I was 4 years old, and my grandmother took me out in Corona, Queens, on 108th Street. Took me down.
It's a shark movie. It's a shark like sharks.
It's a shark. You like sharks, don't you? I'm like, I like sharks.
Every little boy likes sharks.
They just had the anniversary showing in IMAX earlier this year, and I was like, it's Jaws. You got to see it in its glory. So yeah, we went and saw that, and man, it's absolutely worth it.
Hey Randy, thank you for the $5. Dennis and Andy show was only ever slightly gay before, but with Cecil here. Oh, but they were not all in the same room, then none of us would be wearing pants. I mean, Dennis and I aren't right now. I asked Cecil not to, so honor system. I hope he's not.
But we do not Jeffrey Toobin it on any of these shows. Just saying.
Oh well, maybe you don't. But when you're at your house and I'm here and we're doing a show because you can't make it over, I got to say, to get through a show with you, I got to Jeffrey Toobin.
So that's why I'm like, Andy, and you're like,
how far are you guys from each other?
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, you look
right here about 5 inches.
Yeah, watch.
You only look like a foot and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. No, 20 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, like 20 minutes. Yeah, I mean, on Wednesdays, he always comes over, and then we grab food after. On Fridays, when we do the movie review, he just stays at his house, and I just stay at mine.
Yeah, it works out great. Oh, there it is. We've been waiting for the 220 here, or one. It's the emergency broadcast system alert. Everybody should be getting it on their phones.
I'm listening for mine.
And you might be able to get it in the sirens, or see if you guys have like local tornado sirens and stuff. Maybe they're going to go off. All the things. Maybe the internet will go down. Maybe it's
Do I have to,
Y2K all over.
is it going to turn off or should I shut it off?
I just turned it off myself.
me-
Is yours going off? Because
Yeah,
we can't hear it. But I'm sure it's annoying you. What about yours? Nothing?
No, not yet. Mine is not gone off yet.
It's because you're on T-Mobile and they
I
just
know.
don't care about those customers.
That may
The
be
government's
true.
like, fuck T-Mobile customers. They don't get the alert. When the shit hits the fan, we're losing a third of the U.S. population because they have T-Mobile.
But they're still going to have the best coverage when all hell cuts loose.
Here's a fun fact that's not creepy at all or sinister. You know who owns the Amber Alert system?
No.
Ghislaine Maxwell's sister.
Are you serious?
Get out of town.
Wow, so she could easily program it not to go
Isn't that a
off during
weird
her
thing for
flight.
them to be involved with? Isn't that odd?
It is.
It's as odd as the fact that she's in jail and pretty much everybody's forgotten about all that stuff.
I'm going to say I'm probably sure they don't get those alerts when she's in the submarine under the sea tootling over to the island. So,
Man, it's going off again.
oh, look at that.
Yeah, yours. He hasn't gotten it yet. Who's your service?
Mine's T-Mobile.
That's what his is.
Yep.
I'm AT&T. So
Ooh, you know what? There was the thing because we just switched to T-Mobile. And when I set it up, there was something in there that wanted to know about Amber Alerts and all of this stuff. And I was like, no. So I'm willing to bet. We'll see if I get it.
So what Dennis is saying is now that his two kids are grown in their late 20s, he doesn't give a shit if kids get kidnapped. He's like, whatever. I don't
He's like,
care. They're
not
not
my
mine.
problem.
I got a silver alert, but that was just Andy, so I didn't really. Okay, he's just wandering
Yeah,
again.
he's like, oh, Andy.
I want him activated because I'm afraid I might become a lost adult at some point. You know, when they,
Well, you know, that's the
when they have
silver.
me wandering, those wandering adult ones. That's the one I'm like, pay attention. That could be me. Not too soon from now.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I want to share with you guys is so DC put a book out this week called The New Golden Age, which is a JSA one shot. This is the cover to it. Now, I will say the interior is by a bunch of different artists, and they're all good. They brought Jerry Ordway in to do pages. Jerry's fantastic. Scott Collins does some pages. Todd Knock, I believe. So the art's good. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, all right, what's this about? Let's see. So we go to this page. Let me make it so everybody can see it. And it's basically like, oh, there's this little kid, and I don't know, some shit happens to her. So she sleeps with, I guess, a knife under her pillow for safety. Oh, she hears a noise. She goes downstairs. She stabbed somebody. Look at that stab. Oh, blood. Oh, my God. What could it be? What? How does this look? What? Batman? How did she stab Batman? You can't sneak up on Batman, especially if he's the one that broke into your house.
Are you shitting me?
Not at all.
The guy
Look,
dodges.
he's
The guy dodges bullets.
Right?
He broke into her house for a specific reason.
One of the only men that survived a punch from Superman.
Yeah.
Oh, there's mine.
And doesn't he have all like
And I'm
all
on
the-
silent.
So was
aren't
mine.
all the materials on his stuff like, you know,
Kevlar.
Kevlar and like at least kitchen knife resistant?
Yes. Well, here,
Yeah,
Cecil.
that almost looks like a paring knife.
Cecil, not only kitchen knife resistant, but I don't know, 12-year-old kid force resistant.
Yeah.
I have a feeling if my 20-year-old daughter came at me with a knife, I could probably block it easily.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
so
that's bad writing that this little kid got the drop on Batman, who's obviously breaking into her house, so he's at a heightened sense. He wouldn't be just, walking around like daydreaming.
it's just, oh wow, I got to furnish my $1 billion mansion with some of this middle income furnishing.
I know what it was. Go back to the previous page.
She could sell that knife to anybody in the Rogues Gallery. It's got his DNA on it.
Right?
You know what it was? They wrote a script, and I think they changed it and took the word out because she comes down and she's like, "Oh, there's somebody there," and then she goes, "Martha," and then he's like, "What? How do you know that name?" And then she starts stabbing him because he's petrified and can't move.
It's my cat's name.
So because I like to fashion myself after 30 some years in the business as somewhat of an editor, I edited this. So we see the bloody knife. He's standing there. She's like, uh-oh. She's like, oh shit. He goes, I'm Batman. Does mom know? And I edited this. You're a pussy. And I just think that works so much better for the sequence.
Yeah. Damn it all to hell in the chat says Batman literally dodged the Omega beam. That is true.
That's right.
It's like, come on now. This is complete.
Now, just so people, obviously I added that, but the real page, that panel below Batman is her silent. And then the last panel, she says, does mom know? But all he does is stand there and go, I'm Batman. Like she can't fucking tell. Oh, I thought I stabbed Robin.
Oh, at least that would be believable.
He must have missed the day where they were fighting in the dark when he was getting ninja training.
Exactly. Every villain couldn't stab Batman, but the little girl could.
That's right. Hey, now, is she black? I can't tell. She could just be tan. She could be Indian American. I don't know what she is. Mexican. I don't
She's obviously better than Ra's al Ghul.
Well, if I could take a stab at it, she did stab him, so I'm going to guess she's Puerto Rican. And that's enough for me today.
There you go. I think, you could be right.
I'm basing that on West Side Story, of course.
Of course. But so I got a story from art school. So my figure drawing teacher in art school was a guy named Ben Ruiz, who was Puerto Rican. And he was a short little dude. He was like 5'2", 5'3". And he just made the stupidest dad jokes when he was teaching. Mm-hmm. So we're doing, life model drawing, whatever. And he's like, do you guys know what detail is? And we're all kind of looking at him like, are you insane? We're in art school. Of course we know what detail is. And, so some kid, he's like, what is it? And some kid's like, the more specifics you put into a drawing and whatever. And he goes, no, detail is the end of the horse. So he would make stupid jokes like that. One time, no shit, he's talking about the rib cage and, the bone structure and stuff. And he goes, and if you ever want to stab somebody in the ribs, you don't do the knife up and down. It won't go through. You got to do it horizontal. And it'll slide right through the ribs. And we're like, all right, we're learning more in this class.
That's kindergarten in Puerto Rico. They teach.
Exactly. That kid might graduate high school not knowing how to do math, but he'll be able to shiv you no problem. I can't spell my name, but I can kill you with a butter knife.
Were you holding the blade vertical? Yes. What did we teach you? Horizontal.
Exactly. Now come here. I'm going to whap your knuckles with a ruler, and I'll probably cut a few fingers off.
Yep. Puerto Rican. Now we know they're not Dominican because they roll them tighter.
Mortal enemies. If anybody lives in New York, mortal enemies. The Puerto Ricans constantly at war with the Dominicans. I love it. I love it because I have friends of both, and I'm just like love watching them fight.
Yeah. You ever go, why do you guys hate yourself so much? It's like, what's Randy say? Congrats. Oh, thank you very much, Zachary. Randy says, would AOC pull a knife on you? Probably. I like when AOC goes from regular, no accent speaking to full blown Chicano.
Yeah. She's like from Yonkers or like somewhere in Westchester. So she pretends to be from
really I know, dude. It cracks me up. I'm just like, God, as soon as your looks go, you will not get voted back in. So you need to hold on to those looks as long as you can. Because as soon as they're gone,
you are sadly mistaken. You are underestimating the stupid.
It's true. Look at Pelosi,
people of New York.
Well, and just Democrats in general. Because look at Pelosi. Because Fetterman. I've Googled young Nancy Pelosi, and I was like, okay, I can see that.
Was this a pause and rewind situation?
No, not really. Well, there's no pausing because there was no video. It's just a still photo. But look, hey, Pelosi, AOC is like a young Pelosi in the standpoint of they both got big racks.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see what AOC is going to turn into. You know, not so much in the face, hopefully for her sake.
She is a brain surgeon next to Fetterman. Fetterman is literally, forget it. They will, anything with a D next to his name will win in certain. It doesn't matter. It's like,
I remember it was Nancy Pelosi that said even if a cup of coffee was running and it had a D before it, it would win.
Mm-hmm.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, that guy's got everything but bolts sticking out of the side of his fucking neck. Walking around.
I love how they went a whole week with lowering the dress code, and it took a week for bipartisan support to go, we can't do this. We got to have suits in this joint, which I agree with. It's like, come on. We're getting laughed at as it is. Can you not make that monkey put a freaking 3-piece suit on or 2-piece suit on?
They've been trying since he got elected to teach him how to tie a tie. They finally got him a clip on this week.
Oh, well, let's talk about comics.
Let's.
What is your Dennis? You ask it. You always do this.
I don't know. Just like the lollipop you took from me. You know, origin story. Since you're new to the show, we always like to ask the new guest your origin story. What got you into comic books, and do you remember what the first comic book you either got or picked up was?
Yes, the first comic book I bought. Well, I got into it. I had a older cousin who had a bunch of X-Men and stuff, and I just was reading it, and I was just fascinated. I thought the X-Men looked. There was something. I think it probably was Dave Cockrum or Burns art. It was. They just looked different than the. There was something like. They were the others of the Marvel universe. They were the others. So, I liked it, and I always thought the art always looked other than like the Avengers and Spider-Man. Also, even though it was all in the house style, there was something, I don't know, Rogue not having pupils and Nightcrawler looking like a demon. Like they just still looked odder than like a Motley Crue. So I liked them. I loved Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends, that cartoon, when I was a kid. So I was very much into it. But I remember the book I bought first. It was shit, I have it right here. It was John Romita Jr.'s first issue of Spider-Man of X-Men.
Okay.
And, hold on, I just had it signed by Claremont. Hold on, it's right here.
Is it the actual one that you got back then, or did you have to rebuy it?
Oh, shucks, up and do. Well, now that everybody's gotten up and walked away, we can have our running commentary in the background.
No. Guys, go back, cash grab, second chance campaign. Link is in the description below, and we will be pulling it up to talk about as well.
And John goes, I am very excited for Kor-Drath and its new role-playing game. Cecil likes role-playing games, doesn't he? You know, when he gets back, we will ask him if he does like role-playing games.
And by the way, guys, if you ordered a beanie, they're shipping out tomorrow. We printed the labels, put them in the mailers, and they're going in the mail tomorrow. So some stuff is getting shipped out.
We were hard at work right before we were setting up the show.
That's right. We don't mess around. What's this? Fetterman and Shane have something in common. Frayed underwear. Yeah, most likely.
Damn it. You know, I can't find it because now I got a girlfriend. I cleaned up and I can't find anything.
Ugh. But is it the one that you bought back then, or is it a
no? I was at the Cincinnati Con last year, and Claremont was there, and there was like no line, and I was like, I ran to a guy, I forget what the fuck it is. It's John Romita Jr. It's Cyclops fighting an octopus.
Oh my god, that's one of the holy shit! Are you sure it's an octopus and not a shark? He's underwater. He's underwater.
His beam is hitting the X-Men logo and blasting it apart.
Yeah.
And he's got like a tentacle around his neck. That's the cover.
Doesn't the issue open up with him and Pryor? What's that chick name?
Madeline Pryor.
They're in like a seaplane or some shit.
Okay, yeah.
Dude, that was one of my first ones because the reason I loved it from an art standpoint is because in the back of it, they showed the different rough sketches JR did for that cover.
Let me see if.
And I was like, that's awesome.
I just got my Dark Phoenix issue signed by Claremont. My favorite run is the Dark Phoenix saga of everything.
It was 176. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one.
Here it is. Hold on, I'll share it.
Okay. And while you're doing that, speaking of Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, all right, let me pull this up real quick. That is the one.
Yeah.
That's it, baby. Love that book.
So I quickly grabbed a copy of that, which was not expensive, and I ran over and had Claremont. I said, this was the first book I ever bought. So I have it signed by Chris Claremont.
Hey, Joe, you guys have commercials now. What was it, last week or 2 weeks ago? We had a bunch of guys chiming in saying that YouTube, even in the middle of the live stream, started popping up commercials. So that was the first time. So
Cecil, check this out. I love Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, and I if people ask, I'll tell the story. That's what got me from drawing. I always drew as a kid, but I always drew cars. I love sports cars, whatever. When I saw that cartoon, I started going, I want to draw superheroes. And then when I started working at Marvel in '92, one of my first assignments for like the advertising part of the business was to do a VHS cover for Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Oh, awesome.
And that's actually VHS right there.
Nice.
I still have the original art to it. And the great thing about it is it was actually this episode that I saw that got me started drawing.
It was the X-Men, episode. Yeah.
It was that actual episode. So talk about like a full circle thing.
Wow.
So yeah, whenever I find it, I buy it.
Yeah, that got me into the X-Men too, that episode. And the other book I remember buying, I don't remember if I bought it off the rack or it was a Marvel team up with Wonder Man. And I dug it. And I really liked Spider-Man from that. I was like, oh, and I got really into. So I was huge on Spider-Man and the X-Men. But then I got, I had like a paper out. I had money. So and books were fucking cheap as fuck back then. They were like
60 cents. Because we're all the same age, roughly. Yeah.
I would just get everything. So I have runs from like the early 80s of like everything, like Avengers, X-Men.
So you still do? Because
I've been clearing stuff out because I've moved a couple times and I'm like, I can't keep dragging long boxes. So I've been.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I saw you do your auctions and stuff, and I'd watch and be like, yeah, if I see anything, maybe I'll pop in. But a lot of the stuff I might already have or whatever. So,
dude, I moved 15 times. And then my wife said, this is it. Because if we move again, you kind of need to get rid of them because it's a lot of comics. It's a lot of long boxes. I switched over to drawer boxes years ago, which makes it nicer. But it's still an awful lot of lugging, and I don't want movers touching my shit.
at one point I had probably close to 20,000 books. I'm not even kidding. I bought
28,000. So.
I bought a store that was going out of business in Connecticut. It was actually a bagel shop that took over for a comic shop. And I just bought, he's like, here, a sight unseen. And it was insane, the shit I got. Like, it was insane. Just long boxes of like Silver Age and just unreal. So it was like, I hit the jackpot, but that was on top of my collection I had been collecting since I was 9 years old. I had just two collections combined.
Yeah.
I probably have in my house. Actually, I'm lowballing with 20,000, to be honest. I still have an entire. I have to get rid of this shit. I have to get rid of. But I'm like such a collector at heart. Like, when you see those people on those hoarding shows, when they pick up a broken mirror and they're like, can we throw this out? And they're like, okay. And then they're like, I need that back.
Dude, I've got, Dennis and you have, 20,000 whatever comics. I've got like 28 long boxes. So not near that. But I'm trying to go through it. So I got a long box behind me on the floor that's about 3/4 full of stuff I want to get rid of. But dude, I'm like, when I'm in the house and I'm watching TV and I'm thinking about, all right, tomorrow I want to go up there first part of the morning, just go through stuff to get rid of, just big chunks. I'm just about, fuck this. I don't need it. Put it away. And I'm going through stuff going, oh shit, that's cool. Yeah, I can't get rid of that. Oh shit, All-Star Squadron number 4. No, I can't get rid of that. You know, so
I've given away a lot of stuff too. Like, I mean, I probably sent Kelsey Shannon 500 books. I just would ship him books.
No way.
He's like, send me more. I'm like, all right, here. Yeah, I'm trying to offset the. I've sold a Frank Miller run on eBay, and I did everything wrong. It was when I first was doing it, and it was like, and I got $75 for it. And the guy who won was like, I can't take this. He's like, it's you know, this fucking one of these books. It was a huge run. It was a lot. And I was like,
are you just talking about Daredevil, or are you talking about other
Daredevil,
stuff?
like a full, like I don't know, 30 issues.
Yeah.
And it had everything. It had all the, you know, all what you wanted. And he's like, I can't. And I was like, no, keep it, man. I can't, I gotta get rid of this shit. And the guy like wrote me this like heartfelt letter. Like, I would have never been this. I've been my dream to have this. I would have never been able to afford this. I can't. And I was like, oh my God, the perfect guy got it. Like the perfect guy got it. I would have given it to him. Like, here, take it.
So I want to do, but I know I just can't do it. So what Aaron Lopresti did, Aaron had a really big collection at one point. He had every issue of Spider-Man except for like, you know, #1, Amazing Fantasy. I think he had like maybe issue 4 or 5 all the way up into the 90s. Just a big collection. And a few years ago, he basically, I think he said he sold everything he had going back. If it was dated to like 1980 on up, he got rid of it. So he only kept 79 or maybe 1980 and older. And now all he does is either buy high grade CGC stuff or, you know, still high grade raw books, but he's just doing it, you know, still for fun. Like, oh yeah,
Right.
This book isn't worth something. You know, Frankenstein by Marvel Comics might not be worth a ton, but it means something to me. I'll get a nice high grade, you know? And a part of me is like, God, I'd love to do that. Cause I think he said he's down to like 3 long boxes. And I just look at how much I'd get rid of if I was down to 3 long, but I just can't do it.
All right. I want to get down to maybe about like realistically 6 that I can move. That's a tiny hump to move, but like it's a full day of packing, like just for the comics when I move.
Oh yeah.
It's just
I think so. I'm an X-Men collector, so I have all the X-Men going back and all the X-Force, X-Factor, New Mutants, etc., etc. I think I have 12, 16. I think I have about 20 long boxes. I'd have to go home and count that are just my X-Men title. And that doesn't even include Wolverine, you know, because I would almost consider that part of it, or Deadpool. But yeah, I don't know how to whittle it down because I'm just not, I don't collect X-Men anymore because they went to shit.
Well, you don't have to whittle those down, but there's stuff you could whittle down. Like I could take the new stuff you bought this week and be like, out.
Well, it's all, I pick up all indie stuff now. So, you know, it's all good reads. I get a lot more comics every week than you do. I know, because I was bagging and boarding last night before I watched Ahsoka.
Oh, you just lost the man card.
No,
give me the man card.
I took a bullet for the team because I'm going to be on the live stream and we are going to review the entire season.
How was it?
So I took a bullet.
Was it any good or?
I'll save it for the show, but it was like, man, the last episode was the best of them, and that's not saying a lot. Some neat things, but this is also based on one of the best trilogies novels out there, and it's nowhere near doing it justice. But
I also don't understand the whole the whole thing of Yoda telling Luke he's the last Jedi, and now it's like there's a million Jedi.
There's Jedis everywhere.
And then you got Bailey. We're not Jedi.
Right. We're not Jedi. Oh, you just did something with the Force.
Well,
That's weird.
so see, I used to collect football cards as well as comic books. So I had a couple 100,000 football cards. And my wife's like, seriously, you're getting rid of either your comic books or your football cards. I'm like, wait, what? So at that point, I knew they weren't worth anything. So I actually went down. This is how I got rid of them quick. We had a garage sale. And I took all my football cards, except for my Green Bay Packers. I took a little box, put some of the cool ones in there, my Brett Favre rookies and stuff, and everything else. I put in Walmart bags, lined them up by the fence, and I told every kid in the neighborhood, everybody come and go grab your friends. Everybody takes 2 bags. I don't care if you trade them, put them in your spokes. I don't care, on your bikes. Do what you want with them. And I literally gave away 200,000 football cards.
Wow.
And the real special part was if he liked the little boys, he'd be like, all you have to do is come up to my room for 20 minutes and you can have as many as you want.
That's how I got my comic. That's how I got my comic collection.
Or, we're going to get the cash grab in a second, but when you were talking about Chris Claremont, Dennis has a fantastic Claremont story from when he was a kid. He got to sit on Chris's lap.
Never did.
What? You told me you met him in the store.
You say that every show. Never sat on anybody's lap. And look at, he's like saying, get rid of the wife. No, you do have, my wife is kind of a saint. If you guys have seen, those of you who are on a regular, I've showed pictures of the man cave. It's a big, big, big place that is filled from ceiling to floor. Plus, I've got a reading room filled. Plus, all the extra arts in the bedroom on the walls. I have literally taken over the bulk of the house, and my wife puts up with it. So You cannot, for the football cards, I don't. Comic books are way better than football cards.
I'm gonna start doing my auction streams again. I know Ethan really knocked the wind out of me when I had to sell my Green Lantern collection for almost nothing because he started bringing up all the sex crimes of the artist or the writer and
George Jones.
Yes, and the
I worked with him.
The bidding ground to a halt.
Well, if you had Green Lantern Annual #1, the Eclipso tie-in, that was one of my first gigs for DC, and it was written by him. So there you go.
I don't have it anymore.
Not anymore. Well, now I'm a huge Green Lantern guy. How far back though did the collection go year-wise?
Oh, it was spotty, but it was a huge 80s and 90s run. It was up over 100 books in the lot.
Okay.
It had the first what the hell's his name? Dark something?
Wait. Not Parallax.
No. It was I'm talking like it was like a 12-cent comic. It was the first.
Not Star Sapphire. Dark Hand. No.
Dark Hand.
It was a Dark Hand. Yeah. That's a real one. Yeah.
I had the first appearance of him, and it went from like that all the way to like the 90s, but it was the bulk was 80s and 90s, mostly I think 80s and early, like maybe up to like 90. I don't know, right about the time when the Parallax and
Black Hand, that's his name.
Black Hand, yep.
Yeah, dark black. Okay.
Was it Black Mat? No, Black Hand.
Yeah, it was Black Hand. Yeah. Black Mask is something else. Let's talk about cash grab. I don't believe I actually know, because this was already well into funding and stuff when I came onto the CG scene. I mean, how did cash grab come about?
I'll be honest, I owe it all to Ethan Van Sciver. I loved the whole movement. I went back. I hadn't read comics, and the funny thing is, I didn't know who Ethan was, like, because I had missed his era. I had actually taken off right about 2000 and early 2000s, and kind of stopped buying comics for years, and then in 2016 I went to a comic shop and was just like, what the fuck is all this? Is garbage. I was like, I couldn't believe I was spending time. I was in the hospital, like visiting somebody, but I would go to Midtown Comics and I'd buy fucking comics, and I was just like, and I wrote into Google, what the fuck is wrong with comics? Like just, and boom, it shoots me to a Captain Cummings video who's railing about how everything is fucking SJW. And I'm like, I don't even know what SJW is. I'm just like, but this guy's right. Like, this is all and then he's like, oh, you got to see my friend Richard. He just started a channel. And that was, so I was like, Zach's 174th sub. Like I was right there from the,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I was right there. And then I met Ethan through that, and then Ethan saw, and I actually was like, oh, I know a lot about comics. I have a lot to say about this. I was pissed the more, so I kind of did a channel that was just basically a clone of Zach. I was like, there's no need for this. It's like, I'm just saying that he's already saying, and I was like, let me do something funny. Like, let me do something, humorous rather. So I did a parody of it, and it was, he was diversity in comics. I was diversity, inclusion, compassion in comics. And I was saying how great these comics were. That was my whole fucking shtick, was these are fucking fantastic. And I would take like a classic X-Men and I'd shred it. And I'd say,
oh, he said classic X-Men. Those are reprints. That's fine.
No, real copies.
No, you did that. Hard stop.
People went crazy because I'd be like, all right, today's death matches between, America Chavez and X-Men 150. And I'd be like, this is garbage. I had a perfect copy of a first edition of Killing Joke right in the shredder. People are just like, I was shredding books, and then Ethan saw one of my videos and he's like, yo, you're really funny. You got to come on. I didn't even know how to live stream. Finally, he forced me on air. I came on, and then we became friends.
Sure.
In the city, we obviously we've become friends. And a couple of years ago, he's like, man, you're really funny. You got to write something. He's like, you got to write something. Like you, and I was like, no. And then that's it. He kind of forced me to write something. And this is what I came up with. And, it's based a lot on, it's got, like we were talking about Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds. It's very much that 80s sex comedy that has been lost to the ether. You can't do it anymore. It's politically incorrect. It's sex. It's drugs. I threw in some sci-fi, some superhero, some, shoot 'em up. It's, a cacophony.
Well, now that I've gotten out of AFib here, and I have to say that I laughed my ass off, because that is exactly the humor and the jokes and stuff in there. It is great. The cash, and I actually also looked through, because I got your fan art book, for those of you that didn't. That's pretty cool. I actually got to see some of the fan art. I like what some of the guys did. Dude, this is just fun. I am glad those guys made you, and I'll use my air quotes, do it, because that is funny, and they say this type of humor can't be done today. I disagree.
Dude, I told you before the stream, when I read it, I laughed out loud a few times, and I just opened to one of the pages, and it's a sight gag. And it's the sight gag where you fucking take the mallet and smash the tortoise out of his shell. It's like, oh my God. I love this freaking type of humor, man. I love Donald DeLay's stuff. I mean, I first discovered his stuff on Brutus the Badass.
He was so perfect. For my first time out, to have met up with him, who was instantly on the same page as me, like instantly knew what I was trying to do, and what I said I wanted to look like. It's Mad Magazine style. And he started doing a few sketches. I was like, this is what was in my head. Like, this is what not too serious, everything a little over the top, proportionate wise, everything.
Oh yeah.
I'm not looking for photorealism.
No, you're not looking for straight up, pseudo realism, which is what I basically term guys like me and Graham and Ethan art. We're realistic, but we're still stylized. So I like to say pseudo realistic, and that wouldn't have worked. But I tell you what, not only you got me to laugh out loud, you got me grossed out. Yes. And I want to show you the page I'm talking about, because there are certain parts of the anatomy that I'm just like, oh, that is so fucking gross. And it was this fucking shot right there. Poking out. I was just like, oh my God, that is so gross. I just was like, oh,
yeah. Donald was great. Ink Spots did the coloring, and he added so much like Easter eggs and stuff. He went crazy. Like, he's a huge part. Ink Spots doesn't get enough love for it. Probably because of me. I don't bring him up enough, but he added so much flavor to this because he's a huge CG fan, and he threw so much shit in the backgrounds and stuff on his own, because we were just all on the same page, knowing what this was supposed to be, and it came out really, really good. So, in my opinion, I liked. I was happy.
No, I mean, dude, you were honestly, for your first time out of the gate, you should be proud. It's a really funny book.
See, I like comedy. I like parodies. That's why I'm a fan of like Don Chins and stuff like that. And, he puts out great stuff. And as I started reading this, I was like, hey, there's some comedic chops in this. I like this. And, and it used to be, you said Mad Magazine. There used to be Bananas and Dynamite and, all these other type of magazines and then stuff like that. National Lampoons that were out there. That type of humor, well, it's not PC, we can't do it. Dude, you just proved it can be done and it can be funny, and you just don't have to be offended by everything you read. I think you did a great job. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
So Blackjack and then below Zachary too, they're basically saying, is there going to be a number 2?
Oh, yeah. It's already. My problem is I keep thinking of new stuff. I have this little like pad. I've rewritten. Like I said, I'm probably on seventh draft now. I need somebody to just yank it out of my hands and throw it in and get it.
So Donald hasn't started anything because you're still writing.
No, he's got something on his plate right now. So I'm ready, but he's ready to go when I am. I'm gonna basically let this campaign finish out. Once he has 5 pages done, something for me to show.
Yeah,
I'll have it. So it's going to be pretty soon. Within the next few months, the campaign will be up.
And I take it you'll have basically same team, Ink Spots, Eric Weathers, and
same team.
Right.
And the sequel is going to make this look like a nursery rhyme. This where this is going is I'm not,
No, don't spoil anything.
You know how it ends, right? So
yeah.
That is going to be thoroughly explored. So
oh, wonderful.
Yes, there will be big changes for Cecil in the next issue.
That's fantastic. And Reenie, so the nice thing about this second one, guys, brand new cover by Reenie, which is really nice. Are the shot glasses new to this, or the pint glasses?
Those are pint glasses. Yeah,
pint. Are those new to this one, or were they available?
This is new to this. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, those are selling a lot. A lot of people put it as an add-on, so I think I've sold almost 50 of those already. So,
cool.
It's doing it. I'm happy. A lot of people. Obviously there was a big delay in this when my first campaign and when it came out, I got tied up in court. But the second one, unless I get married and divorced in between this one, I think it should go much quicker.
Just remember, if you ever get the urge to propose to your new girlfriend, just go, I can't do it till number 2's out.
No, I just go look at my
number 2's out. I can. And then you can divorce me right thereafter and we'll be fine. Randy Howell, $5. Thank you. Warning, Cecil's book is NSFW, not safe for women.
I mean, it's not for kids. Let's put it that way.
No, it's not for kids. It's not for kids. But then again, neither is Kor-Drath. So there you go.
So, but I would imagine like a 15-year-old boy getting this and thinking it was the greatest thing in the world. That's
right. And that's what I was going to say, just to be specific for anybody watching later or now is, we say kids, we're talking young kids, but 15 or up, it's fine. I mean, I think it's fine.
There's slight nudity and I mean, nothing nothing like filthy, but
no. Nothing that you're not going to see in a PG-13 movie. Was there what? Even though I just read it, Dennis can attest my memory's awful. Was there an F-bomb anywhere in this?
Yeah.
Or were there multiples? And I just don't remember.
Yeah.
There was multiples.
The dialogue
Yeah,
was
see, that's my
crudely
brain.
written. You didn't notice them, but yeah, they're in there. It's mostly by the mayor.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
It wasn't like the South Park episode where they had the clicker and you went click, click,
No.
click for every F
No, it
bomb.
wasn't egregious. It was not every
Right.
page. I think the mayor and the Tony Wyoming character.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Tony Wyoming was great. That whole scene was great.
Yep.
Nah, dude,
Tony
it
Montana
so
was
good.
taken, so
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So you're keeping. So this one's not going to. Second chances ship and win. March, I think it said.
yeah, that I it's gonna go. It'll probably go out much sooner than that. To be honest, I just want to give myself a buffer date. This is only going to stay up for maybe once I have about 2 months about this, I'll order. Everything's ready. There's nothing to do except hit, count the number of orders and send, to print. Most of it is I'm selling back issues too, which I already have. So it's gonna, as soon as I get it, it'll ship pretty quickly. I would imagine it'll be there a lot sooner than March, but I gave myself buffer from last time since I so
Dan
late.
wants to know if there were any turtles harmed in the making of this comic.
No, turtles were healed. There's a whole turtle subplot going to happen.
Yeah, no spoilers, but the turtle makes it out very well. I'll just say that
the turtle is gonna is gonna be prominent soon. So
no way.
There's a lot of I tried to use my comic book reading knowledge and have different storylines that would running separately, converging type of there's a lot. Anything that you think is loose and went nowhere, there's a reason for it. It's going somewhere.
So. All right. I got one. Actually, I do have one technical question for you on the writing front, because this is the first time you've written something like this. Did you or through Ethan, did you look at what examples of a comic book script look like from professional writers for the format and stuff? Or how are you writing it? Are you doing panel by panel breakdowns? Or are you just doing a plot?
I wrote the plot elements, what major. I wrote the major bullet points of what the book was going to have in it, and then I said in what order I was going to do it, and I did it. I don't know if anybody ever wrote a comic book like this. I made it up, and I was like, all right, I have 4 pages to tell this part of the opening story for that. 1 page to tell the opening story of that part, like the flying fox.
Oh no, that's how. Dude, I know people that will draw out. I know writers that will sketch out 22 boxes on a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, and then they'll just, like you said, they'll write in this sequence will take up 1 through 4. This sequence will take up 5. But then they do the full script. So did you do all the dialogue before? Or did you save the dialogue for after, or a mixture of both?
I did. Plotted out the plot without dialogue, and then I filled it in. And then what's happened was when I sent it to Donald, he would be like, I don't need 3 pages to tell this story. Here's now you have 2. Now you have 2 pages extra. I could do this in 1. Let's cut the dialogue. That was what I really had to do is learn how to let the pictures tell the story.
Sure.
I wrote a novel basically, and it's like, right, so that was.
I worked with somebody like that on Kor-Drath.
And he was okay. So you know what I'm talking about. So, and then he would be like, hey, this would be better told if I had an extra page. So we would take, so then now I would. So it was a work in progress. He was probably the perfect person for me to work with, because we just we're so on the same page, and I got very lucky for my first outing to have somebody who was just on my wavelength. And, yeah. So,
well, no, it's great to have that collaborative effort and stuff. Before we go, I'm going to bounce. So guys, the cash grab link is in the description below for Second Chance. So if you didn't get it, trust me, get it. You will not regret it, and you'll be hooked for wanting to get the second one.
Yeah, the link will be down in the description. If you're on Andy's channel, Andy Smith Art, or the Dennis and Andy show, they're both going to have the links down below. Make sure you subscribe to both channels. and because I know a lot of you will wind up watching this afterwards.
That's right. And before we go, guys, Kor-Drath the Reckoning, we're at 87,977. Randy's watching. He'll do the totals because we did run a mirror campaign a few months back. We're over 92,000. You know the routine. We get to 100. We add the Vivacious Bud Root story, page 1 right here.
Nice.
Page 2 and 3, colored in progress. And
Nice.
page 4, Bud told me yesterday, page 4 is coming my way tonight so I can get it to Dan. And then I will get all 4 pages up individually for sale or all together. So I'm going to actually put up 4 tiers, a tier for page 1, a tier for the 2-3 spread, a tier for page 4, and then below that, a tier to buy all 4 together. And whatever goes first, the other tiers come down. So if somebody buys all 4, they're all gone. If somebody buys 1, then I take away the tier where you can buy all 4. So hopefully that'll be up by the week's end. And yeah, guys, got to get it to 100. And did Randy post the total yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, he did right here.
He did.
And Andy is not stingy with the TNA, unlike most modern media, which seems to be ashamed of women's bodies and making them smaller and making them more manlier than ever. Andy is quite the opposite. It is
Adriana is a
gratuitous. I love it.
Yes.
So, Cecil, the question came up when you were off screen looking before, because this one, I've also created a Dungeons and Dragons module so you can play a D&D game with this and stuff like that. And they wanted to know, somebody asked, if you do role-playing.
No, my girlfriend plays D&D. She's in a group, though. I could get her involved with it. Maybe she could drag me into it. I've never played D&D.
Well, just show her the campaign because the module is easily adaptable and everybody gets character cards, which you can play in D&D as well. So,
all right.
There you go. Hey, brother, I really appreciate you joining us. I know you got to run and I got to pick up my kid.
Thank you so much. And thanks for all the kind words. You guys were really nice. Appreciate it.
No, dude, seriously, bottom of my heart. I can't wait till we hang out again at a convention. Hopefully it's before Garden State next year.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
if not, Garden State. So really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it too. Thank you.
You got it.
Yep, it's awesome. It was good seeing you again. I haven't seen you since it was Garden State.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys.
And Friday, we will be dropping the review for The Exorcist. What's it called? The Exorcist.
New Beginning.
The New Beginning.
Oh, did you watch it already?
Tomorrow night. We always see our movie Thursday night and do our review Friday morning.
Nice.
Yep.
I'll look for that because I'm really curious about that. It's a direct sequel, right? So I love Exorcist 3. That's one of my favorite.
I was going to ask you about that earlier, but when we were behind the scenes. But another one, I'm going to try and find time to go watch the original one, just so, because it's been a long time since I've seen it, for a refresher. And and then guys, I also saw The Creator on Tuesday.
Have me back. Let's talk horror again this month, because this is the month for horror.
That's a good time to do it.
Well, let me know your schedule, because we don't have to do it on a Wednesday. We can do it any day that our schedules work, because, dude, we could keep talking for another hour
easily.
So let's do that for sure.
And then, guys, I saw The Creator Tuesday, and I just dropped the review for it. I'm telling you, it's a spoiler-free review because I want everybody to go see this movie. I thought it was phenomenal on an $80 million budget. But watch the review. Go see that movie. I'm telling you, you won't regret it.
Wait, is it in theater or no?
Right now, yeah. It just came out last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right, guys. Until next time, bye-bye, everybody.
Live long and prosper.
Take care.